How you doing, everybody? My name is Don, and I'm here to do a little woodworking and give you some tips that I've learned over the course of years and from a couple of good friends of mine. Our first project is going to be cutting boards. We're going to make a board from beginning to end. We're going to make a simple one with just 2 colors of wood. You can buy wood in several different ways. You can buy wood in the rough, and you can buy wood already planed. We're going to use wood in the rough. It's a little bit more work, but you can save a few dollars by buying wood that way. So I guess we're ready to get started. Okay, we're going to buy wood in the rough. It works well that way, except I have to measure each piece, and then we're going to pre-cut them, and then we're going to make with only 2 color wood, a light and a dark wood, an ash and a Jacoba type of wood. So we're going to get them to approximate sizes, and then we will plane them to the actual size, glue them together, and then it takes 24 hours for the glue to dry. So we're ready to get started. So the first step is I'm going to try to figure out how it's going to be the best way for making this. I like to get them at least 1 inch thick. So we will use some of this wood, 1.5 inches. Okay, so we'll start with the ash. One edge is already finished. We're going to trim it to what I want, and we're going to want end pieces of wood that measure about 1 inch by 1 inch square when we're done. So first we'll rip this to 1 inch. Okay, so this is an inch and a quarter. So we'll rip them to 1 inch, and then we'll plane it down to 1 inch. So we end up with 1 by 1 squares. So set the table saw for 1 inch. What's nice about ash is that you can see these little lines in it. Once you put a finish on it, the lines come out and they become really attractive. And it goes well if you have a dark wood. It brings the two together. When these two get put together, you're going to start to see the grain in here is going to start to come out, and it's going to match that pretty closely. And you always use a push stick. You don't want to cut your hand off. Okay, now we got 8 3/4. That's okay, because all the touching edges I'm gonna have to get planed. We have the same height. We just want to plane so that the other 2 edges are smooth. We can either plane it or cut it, but I want to get a nice smooth surface, so we're going to run them through the planer. So we're going to group them in about the same sizes. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go over to the planer. So the first thing I do is set the depth. See the difference between finished side and a rough side. Okay, so we're going to finish both sides. So now we can run them through the other side. No more noise. Okay, now we got the wood all pretty much the same height, and we should have a little over 8 inches, right around a little under 8 inches, close enough. Then we can arrange them, but I think this arrangement's pretty good the way it is. And then we're going to take them to a clamping table. And I think I'm going to use this one here. So, open it up. And I always put taper down to keep the glue from sticking to the clamps. So I have paper at each end of the table. So we'll get a piece of paper. And we'll bring it around. I just need this to fold it over once first. Okay, and then we're gonna come to the area here. Okay. We'll lay them in the clamping table. Figure out where it's going to go. It's going to go here to here. Okay. Okay, so now we got to glue it. So, the way I glue it, and I turn each one, quarter turn, except for the last one. And, okay. Got to make sure you put enough glue on. Too much is not a problem, not enough they fall apart. So, I have glue I buy by the gallon, and I put it in these little ketchup containers. They work great. Okay, and we're gonna put glue, lots of glue. And this is a Titebond product. They make a glue which is not only food safe, but it gives you plenty of working time before it starts to set up. They make a blue, a green, and a red. The green is the one that's food safe and gives you the longest setup time, so you don't have to worry about getting it glued together right away. But you have to let it dry 24 hours. Okay. And I found that paintbrushes work great for spreading the glue. Well, the paintbrush is wide and it covers the whole area really well. I tried little sponge things, but I've tried a bunch of different things, my finger of course, and I found that paintbrushes, and they're not expensive, you know, you can go to buy them for relatively inexpensive, because I always forget to wash them and I end up having to throw them away. But they spread the glue nice. And you can see why I have to put paper down, because it makes a mess. Make sure that it's all covered. You don't want any gaps or holes or spots. Like that would be a spot. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you got plenty of glue. Too much glue is not a problem. Not enough, they fall apart. So, okay. So now you just take them, turn them back and stack them. Okay, fold the paper over and I just close the clamp and then we tighten it. I always start in the middle to get the middle tight first and then work out to the edges. And you can see when it starts, the glue starts to come up through the areas here. Okay? Watch when I tighten the clamp. See the watch over there. See it's starting to come out. All of there. Get it nice and tight. I just tighten it as tight as I can. And when it doesn't go any further, I know that's tight enough. And then what I normally do is I tear this extra piece away. So now we have bottom clamps on. We're going to put top clamps on. Make sure it's really tight. We're going to start with one at each end. One at the other end. You can see the glue came out in a few places. And then I like to put three, one across each in the middle. That way it's glued and clamped really good so that they don't come apart at a later date. Okay. These are pretty good clamps. They seem to work well, and they keep everything nice and square. It took me a while to gather so many clamps because they're a few dollars each. So now we've cut the wood, glued it, and the next step would be to finish it. So this one I glued up the other day. This one I made fancier. It's got a lot more different types of wood in it, but I didn't want to do that for this, so that's why we just used 2 woods. And this should still be about a little over 8 inches wide, and it's 24 inches long, so it can make 2 8x12 boards. So we take all the clamps off. These didn't need end clamps because the boards ended at a clamp. Just needed 3 in the middle. Once we get to putting the oil, this is all going to turn out to be really vibrant, and all these little veins and stuff, it's going to all come together to make a really nice board. So this is how it comes out with this paper on the back. So first thing I'm going to do is try to get rid of as much of it as I can. Okay. Now we're going to take this to the planer and get rid of the glue and get some smooth surfaces, and then we'll trim it, sand it, round all the edges, and put mineral oil on it. So we're going to go over to the planer now. So you got a plain side and all the rough side yet. So now we're going to do this side. So now we went from the rough garbage finish to a nice semi-smooth finish. The next step is to sand it with some 220. Okay. We'll use 100 grit first. And we just want to sand it down a little bit. Now we'll do it with some 220, and that'll make it nice and smooth. Okay. With the oscillating sander, you can go any which direction, which is really nice about those sanders. And it doesn't matter because it doesn't leave any running marks. If you use the belt sander, you'd have to go with the grain. Okay, so now we got it really smooth. So I'm going to trim one edge. Good tool, table saw, or the radial arm saw. I found this one driving through Franklin one day at a BPO Elks. They were selling it for $75. It's 50 years old. It included a set of dado blades. The dado blades is $60, so I basically got the saw for free. Best tool you'll ever have. It does all types of work. You can cut straight cuts, you can cut angle cuts, you can cut bevel cuts, you can do all types of stuff with it. I use this thing every day practically. Except the motor's a little tired, so sometimes it sort of slows down a little bit, like we all do when we get old. So we'll just go to 12 inches. And 2 8x12 cutting boards. Now the next step is to just sand the edges, get rid of any papers. So we're going to go over to a sander over here. Paper. Gone. A little bit of paper. Done. Okay, the almost finished, next to the last step is to round all the edges so it makes it nice and smooth. For this, we're going to use a router with a little round bit. Here, I'll raise it all the way up, show you. It's just a corner bit. So we want to have it down below the line there, out like that. Check to see whether or not I have room. Okay. So this doesn't touch the bottom, so I can do it over here. Otherwise, if it did, I have to do it hanging over the edge. So now we're going to that's a not finished edge. Do both sides. one last step. I like to just sand it with some 220. Okay, now the best part is when we put the oil on it. You watch how they just sort of come alive. We're gonna go to an oiling table. Watch, this is the best part. The thing just pops, it just comes alive. Watch this. You just put the oil on it. I'll put oil up here, half of it first, and you'll see the difference. Look at that. See the difference? The oil makes it a different animal. So now I'll put enough oil on it to do it. Can't put too much oil on it. You can put not enough, but not too much. So. Get all the edges. Get the backside. Lots of oil. And if you just let it sit, it'll soak in overnight. And a good heavy coat is probably all you need until you use it a few times. So that's before and after with the oiling. See the difference? Isn't it nice? That's a pretty much finished product. Nice gift. Simple to make. I'm sure people would love to get a cutting board like that. I've given some away and people say, that's a cutting board? I'm not going to use that. That's too nice to get cut up. So from that to that, from raw wood to that. Hope you guys learned anything from this today, and maybe we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.